We should be live. Got a couple people that have already joined. We'll give a few more seconds to allow everyone to get logged in, and then we'll get started. While we're doing that, I can do a quick introduction just so everyone knows who they're talking to today. My name's Richard. I've been here at PSPDF Kit for close to a decade. I am the VP of Sales here at PSPDF Kit. So wanted to set up kind of a webinar to talk a little bit about the technology we provide, show some of the functionality off and different like use cases that you use us for. In the background today, I have Guillermo from our engineering team. Specifically, he works with the Web SDK, but he's very knowledgeable across different platforms. So, as we go along, feel free to drop stuff in the chat or post questions. He'll be there to answer things as they come up. And then additionally, we can tailor the webinar a little bit towards the end to show certain use cases if we missed anything. So the first thing I will do is go ahead and share my screen so you can see what should be our main website. So yeah, to jump in, a little background around PSPDF Kit. We've been in the kind of the developer space for over a decade. We originally started out as a iOS offering for mobile apps. Over the years, we've quickly expanded our offerings to different operating systems such as Android, web, some server-side batch processing tools such as Java, .NET, Linux, things like that. One of the key events in the past 2 years for our company is that we took a majority investment from Insight Partners at the end of 2021, which allowed us to, reinvest into the company and acquire three other entities that include different offerings, so we can have more of a portfolio of products. But today, mostly wanted to talk about our web SDK. As technology has improved over the years, there's definitely been a switch from our perspective from people developing mobile apps primarily to web applications, as most devices these days will run some sort of web browser. So we see a lot of interest coming in through the door about developing a web application and kind of document rendering and manipulation. So we'll talk about that. A little bit more about PSPDF Kit. We work with a variety of different solutions and industries. So hopefully today there's a little bit for everybody. As you kind of see at the bottom here, we're trusted by a lot of different entities. The aviation industry, companies like Lufthansa or United, cloud storage providers like Dropbox and Box. We have a very big offering in the construction and engineering space with Autodesk, PlanGrid, Procore, companies like that. And there's also some commercial solutions like DocuSign for kind of e-signature workflows. So yeah, so kind of to jump in a little bit about us, I'm going to be using our website mostly today to do the navigation, and then we'll wrap up with a couple things. So PSPDF Kit allows you to essentially build an application, and then within that application, anytime you render a document, primarily PDF, we take over at that point, and then you allow you to view it within the document and manipulate it, rather than leaving the application and doing it in another third-party application. Probably the most common one is a tool like Adobe. They've been primarily responsible for creating the PDF specs. So, a lot of people leverage their desktop products. They have a couple solutions too. But, most of the time people are leaving their applications, going to have to render the document, then come back into the application. And so there's a lot of things there that can get lost. So on the left side here, you can see all the different SDKs that we provide. Again, like I said, we have a web SDK for web applications, stuff for mobile, iOS, Android, window. We also have, further investigated and invested in kind of hybrid technology such as Flutter, React Native, just from listening to our customers. We also have integrations for like Salesforce and SharePoint, as we understand like a lot of these end user tools and CRMs don't have a standard PDF viewer. So again, having to download, come out of the application, come back in, and can be quite frustrating, especially with limited functionality there. So yeah. So when we talk about our Web SDK, we have two different integrations that we offer. One is what we call PSPDFKit for Web Standalone. What this is essentially a client-side integration of our web framework. It runs as a WebAssembly web worker to really allow you to process high memory draining kind of processes and be able to manipulate documents in the browser. So it's serverless. However, you can always hook things up to your server, but it allows everything to happen completely client side. The viewing, the manipulating, the conversion, everything happens in the browser itself, which alleviates a lot of concern on what's happening on your back end. However, we do have a server-backed integration that is entirely self-hosted as well, which allows you to deploy essentially what we call PSPFit server through a container approach with Docker, which can now do a lot of server-side processes like bulk redaction, bulk conversion, OCRing documents, things that the browser kind of times out on and really can't handle those heavy type of operations. So, really today going to focus on kind of the functionalities around Web Standalone and Web Server back. As I kind of said earlier on, it's really where we see the most interest coming today, people coming in wanting to build web apps and going from there. So, moving into this view. So what this is right now is essentially you're looking at an example of our Web SDK. So, this left sidebar is a custom sidebar that we built that allows you to, put different examples, but I'll upload basically the same page over here. And what we'll do is we'll walk through each component. So looking at our client-side Web SDK, the first thing we're going to start with is our viewer. So basically our base component. So when you work with the PDF spec, there's certain requirements that you have to be able to do to, apply certain operations to a document. With a lot of the stuff we do, we have to take control of the rendering process. We need to render the document. You need to use our renderer. We do provide a full a UI that's completely included. You can see some of the UI stuff here. So, again, the left sidebar is a custom sidebar, but what you can see here with the toolbar, that's part of the standard UI that we provide, as well as certain things like, switching to dark mode, light mode, things like that. So, the first thing that you would see if you integrated our Web SDK is that when you go to render the document, we're popping up within the browser and rendering it like that. So, if I change the size of the browser, it adapts to that. But we can walk through some of the standard viewing components. So, being able to navigate easily through a document is probably really important, especially for larger documents. We've got thumbnails that you can use. This sidebar here is also customizable if you want to use it for other things. We do a lot of QA with other products. So, if an outline is on the PDF itself, we'll grab that and allow you to navigate through the outline as well. Same thing with like an annotation list. If there's annotations on the document, you can see that they're time stamped and things like that. You need to customize it to even have like an API so that you can put the author of each of those annotations. Excuse me. And then the last thing, bookmark, being able to bookmark page number 2 and then export those bookmarks so that easily navigatable. So, looking at this, not a really big deal. It's a 5-page PDF, but for those larger PDFs, those bookmarks, those outlines, things like that come into play and they become really more and more important. Other stuff, standard stuff like, fit the page, being able to zoom a lot, working in that construction engineering documents, being able to zoom and still have, high fidelity is really important. So you can see we're zooming in, you still have good visibility on things. For more complex drawings, that becomes more and more important. Being able to search within the PDF for keywords, that's always great. So I can run a search engine real quick for, the word PDF, and you can see that the search engine searching for it, and then it'll show all the results of PDF. Okay, there we go. So there we go. Other standard stuff like exporting and stuff, I can download the document. One of the great things about PSPDFKit is we really allow you to control the document workflow. So, how you ingest the document, how you export the document, you have a lot of control for that. So like if you're building something such as like a DRM or something of that sort, like you can customize the toolbar quite a bit so that you can make things there. So like, we look at toolbar customization, we can rearrange the panels. You can see I'm moving stuff down here on the left side, but they're being reflected up here on the toolbar. So maybe I want to get rid of drawing tools. I don't want people to be able to zoom in, zoom out. I can really get pretty nitpicky on how I want this to look. And so the idea is that, you've probably used PSPDFKit at some point in some sort of commercial application, whether it be DocuSign or Box, like the ability to customize the UI, customize the appearance. It makes it really look like it's part of your application. Most people don't even know we're under the hood. So I've disabled everything from the toolbar, and then I can work backwards. Okay, let's add drawing tools, but maybe I don't want an eraser. Signatures, because that's really the only thing I want to add. So really customizable in that standpoint of just the toolbar itself. Other customization that you can do is, being able to theme. Obviously we have certain. You can change the icons. You can change the icon color. So just further on like how far you can customize this and be able to make this look like it is part of your application, rather than having, to update your application, you can adapt PSPDFKit to your application. So, flying through the viewer quite a bit, one of the best things about our viewer is that, it's seen a ton of PDFs. The rendering performance and the fidelity is quite great. We leverage a rendering engine called PDFume, which is owned and backed by Google. We forked off of it, several years ago, and have built all this functionality on top of it. So, we get the added benefit of having, Google behind the core rendering engine, but then our engineering team of over 50 constantly working on this daily, iterating on it, adding all this functionality, which you won't find out of the box for any kind of open source tool. Great. So, there are a good amount of open source viewing options in the industry. And kind of a simple Google search could find that. Where you really start to see trouble with viewing is, complex drawings, fidelity, performance, things like that. But where we see a lot of people come to us is at the annotation stage. So basically they're viewing documents inside their application, but now they need to mark them up. So like you get into a very much a build versus buy scenario very quickly. You'll see with our annotations component, like it's got 22 different types of annotation. So like quite, comparative to everything else that we offer, annotations is really where we see a lot of value from PSPDFKit coming in. And so like a lot of things you can do with annotations. So, me opening up another PDF, this one, it's about an article we wrote about, building on PDFume. You can do a lot of markup here in terms of annotation. So, one of the first things you've seen me being used is kind of the freehand ink annotation tool. I'm running in, Chrome right now with just, using my Apple mouse. And so, one of the things I can do is I can take this annotation, I can put backfill on it, I can change the opacity so you can see through it, the thickness of the line. So you have a lot of ability to be able to customize the annotations you're putting on, but you can also put you can change the preset. So obviously ours is always going to be PS PDF Kit blue, but you're able to change this as well. So so in terms of like other freehand like annotation types, we have our highlighting, which basically is an annotation, but we've preset the opacity to it so that you can see any kind of text underlying to it. I can change the color to it as well. But during the pandemic, we saw a lot of learning management systems and a lot of educational tools coming to us for help. So we were able to help out there quite a bit. And then being able to erase that's quite helpful. So other annotation types, being able to put free text annotations, being able to add notes to the PDF and being able to rotate them if needed. Again, our inspector will allow you to go and change, different things such as the font size. Call out annotation, so I can highlight something and then being able to be like, this is not spelled correctly. So this is kind of a call out annotation that you can actually, basically put towards a certain thing. So, super helpful in like the construction and engineering space. And then shape annotation. So we have, the ability to draw boxes, things like that, polygons. You'll see that, there are some niche features from our SDK that we've done for certain customers. So like, if you know anything about the engineering space, cloud annotations is something that's very common that customers use. So we added cloud annotation. So you can do that. So undo and redo that. But yeah, that's a quick look at kind of some of the core annotations we do. The last one's probably to cover like stamp annotations. We use the same stamp template as Adobe so that you're able to basically use different PDF editors to have the same stamps. You can also customize stamps. You can even create a custom stamp, or you can import your own stamp design. So maybe there's something specific to your industry. Maybe you're in the legal space and you're going through discovery, and there's certain stamps you need for the discovery phase. You could add a custom stamp template into this and then use it, which is super helpful. Yeah. Upload images if you need to add an image to the PDF. Let's see. I can actually upload the feature list we're using on the other side. So an image annotation, and then the last thing is link annotation. So if you needed to create like a link annotation to link to another website or another page, you could do that. So yeah, cool. We'll take a quick break to see. So Guillermo looks like he's helping out with the questions part. So that looks good. Thanks, Guillermo. And then I'll take a look at the chat. And it looks like Blazor, yes, Blazor good. Just want to make sure. Looks like Guillermo's doing a really good job. Cool, document through Salesforce. So Tom, yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about assembling tops of files. So yeah, we're looking like we're heading in the right direction so far. So thanks, Guillermo, for that. So based on Tom's question, I'll kind of jump over to the document editor. So one of the things to mention with, I'm doing a lot of the demo today on the front end of like, client integration, of being able to, manipulate the PDF through a user interface. Almost everything I'm showing today can be doing programmatically through a UI. So you could programmatically be adding stamps to the PDF. You could programmatically be annotating or highlighting things. There's a lot of things you can do here programmatically with our API guides that I can show. So one of the things that you can see is, merging documents together is definitely something that can be kind of difficult if you have to leave the application and bring back in. So what you can see here is like I'm using what we call our document editor component. This is the UI part of it where I'm opening up a document and then I have the ability to kind of edit that document. So I can pull out pages, I can delete pages, I can import another document if I wanted to. So I'll import a PDF that you can show here. And then I have the ability always to overwrite the existing document or save a new version of it. So I'll overwrite the existing document, and you can see I added a page about a product update sheet that we sent all our existing customers about some things that we've been doing. So, you're looking at a UI tool for me to upload, different documents, merge them together. But on the server side, you could also set this up to programmatically put files together and stuff like that. So you'd be able to do that. So yeah, and then select all, delete all. You can duplicate. So being able to do that with the document editor is really, really helpful. Especially, I think Tom was talking about Salesforce. We use Salesforce ourselves, so I can understand that the limited capability of Salesforce is really just you get a preview of the document, then you can download it. But being able to open our viewer in Salesforce, being able to merge all those documents together, make a packet, that's something really, really easy, especially when you start talking about like signing in Salesforce and things like that. So yeah, that's our document editor component. So moving to the next thing, I'm going to group a couple things because they usually come together. There's been quite a bit of noise over the past couple of years in terms of like e-signatures, notaries. A lot of the industry is moving to supporting electronic signatures or e-signing. Different laws have been enacted around it. You see different statutes being passed in terms of like what is considered a legally binding signature. And so PSPDFKit is in a really good spot right now to really give you the vehicle to do that. So the first thing to kind of take into consideration is like what type of documents that you might need to sign. So I'm pulling up a PDF form right now. So PDF forms are essentially a way for you to organize data into a PDF. So basically you're bounding an annotation to a certain field into the PDF. What PSPDFKit then allows you to do is that you can either programmatically fill these forms. So like if you hook it into your database, you pre-fill first name, last name, address. Everyone hates going to the doctor and filling all this stuff out. It'd be great if they handed you an iPad and they had filled out, you open up the PDF form and it fills all this out for you. You have to check it over. So like with PSPDF, you could do that. You can fill out first name, last name, all stuff that can map to certain form fields. On the other side, it'd be great if you went to the doctor's office, they handed you an iPad, you filled all this stuff out, and then it goes to their database so that if you ever do anything again, they have that information, they can remap it. So with our PDF Acroform support, you can both pre-fill the form fields, but you can also take that information and organize it. You can put it into other systems. So like you have the ability to really own that information. So yeah, so in terms of forms, you can see that we have pre-filled this form from a database with this kind of stuff. Johnny Appleseed. We support, text forms, checkboxes, things like that. And then one of the big things we've been working on and have added is the ability to kind of edit forms. So, a lot of processes have gone to a digital process. So think about the last time you had to fill out that paper form at the doctor. It'd be great if they could bring it into their system. And then what they could do, they could use our form creator to basically start building the form. So they could build a digital version of the form. You can see that with this, you can see the form field name. You can edit the appearance of the form. You can do the text style and the input. And then you can also go to the advanced and figure out, what the form ID is for mapping, whether it's required, whether it's read only. So we have the ability to not only edit existing forms, we have the ability that if you wanted to basically put a new page on your form, you could build out a form yourself. So, I can add, let's see, we'll add a signature box here in the bottom right. I'll add a text box right here. Maybe I'll say the form field name is title, fill color, big fin of green. So you kind of get the point. So I'm able to basically build these forms out using PSPDFKit or edit them. Sometimes certain form fields become obsolete, but where we really see the value here is a lot in e-signature workflows. So being able to programmatically add signature boxes to the PDF and then being able to fill them out. So, what PSPDFKit does is anytime it recognizes a form field that is a signature box, if you have our electronic signature component, so this one here, if I click on it, I'm sorry, off of form creator, it prompts our signature UI box. So a couple different ways. So if I'm signing as Johnny, here's Johnny's ink signature. I could save it for future ones. I can also upload an image of my signature. I can also type out my signature as well. So that's a great way to be able to add an electronic signature. The best part too is if you don't have a signature box, let's say you're like, I don't want to buy that. We have just a signature icon that I could click. I could sign as Johnny again. And then I can resize it and drop it down here as well. So kind of two different ways to go through that signature process. And then moving forward, like with the digital signature. So PSPDFKit itself is not a certificate of authority. We don't provide digital certificates, but what we do provide is like a vehicle for you to basically apply that certificate and verify it. So what that means is, for example, if I'm signing this document, I elect that it has been signed, and then I apply that digital certificate. What it does is it does a couple different things. One, we show that this has been signed with a digital certificate and all the signatures are valid. So we apply the digital signature and then that's valid. What it also does is if I go to change the document in any way, it immediately invalidates the digital certificate because that's what a digital signature is trying to do. It's saying these signatures were made by these people and the document hasn't been touched since these signatures were made. So what we're able to do is immediately I added this annotation where I drew through the lines. Even if I delete it, we're notifying you that this has been altered, similar to what you would see with like a DocuSign or something like that. So just something very interesting. So, a lot of people come to us for their SaaS solutions, their B2B solutions, their on-premise solutions, all this different stuff. But like, there's still other use cases such as what are you using for signing? Maybe you're paying an arm and a leg for, a couple hundred envelopes a month. PSPDFKit can provide you the tools to, build an e-signature workflow within a web application, and then have the additional capabilities of you're hosting all your information. It's staying with you. It's not going to someone else's server. You have more control over the UI. So maybe there's something you don't like about that product you're using for signing. With PSPDFKit, you could alter the signing process to be more specific to yours, and you have more control over the roadmap too. So, and the cost. So yeah, e-signing, definitely something to keep us in mind for. Okay, so moving right along. So I'm going to jump ahead a couple steps because we're about halfway through the hour. So PSPDFKit, when I'm rendering a document in our UI, you are seeing a PDF. We are looking at a PDF itself. However, one thing that we definitely want to show is we can handle other file types of image documents being, PNGs, TIFF files, JPEGs. We can do Office files. We can do Excel, PowerPoint, Word, things like that. Our documentation spells it out a little bit more. But what we do is we're able to convert these documents as a rendering to a PDF, and then your customers don't really know it at all, or your end users. We're converting it to a PDF, and then you're able to use all the same tools that you've been able to if I go to the image viewer, I've converted that. Here's another one I can open up, and it's being converted, and then you can see that I have all the tools that I need to be able to manipulate the document, including text selection. Then I can underline, strike through, highlight stuff. So a lot of things there. So what is super cool about PSPDFKit is that for both Office and Image, we have the ability to do this client side. So previously, to convert an Office file to a PDF, you'd have to do this on a server-side process. Now you can completely do it with our client-side only integration of web standalone. So plugs in, doesn't touch the server. So that conversion is happening in the browser. And then we have ways to optimize it as well. So yeah, PDFA conversion, another thing as well. Not exactly like a file type to another file type. It's not like taking image to PDF, but you are taking PDF and making it PDFA compliant. So yeah, a couple different things just about what PSPDF can do in terms of like expanding past like a standard PDF. Cool. Great. We'll check the chat one more time. Typically, I trust that Guillermo is in a good spot. Yep, seems like he is. Cool. Thanks, Guillermo. You're doing great. Okay. We'll go kind of niche. I know I saw a couple different people that are from like the legal space, but you know, if anyone is interested in kind of the construction and engineering kind of industry, we have kind of two specific tools. One is called measurement. So essentially what this does, it allows you to measure the distance between 2 points on a PDF. So if you are looking at an engineering drawing or something like that, you set the scale. So I can add the scale name. I don't know, we'll go webinar. 1 centimeter equals 1 centimeter. Done from that. And then I'm able to pick a culmination of things. You know, if I want to see the circumference of a circle. So if I want to outline that or be able to match it up, I can get the distance there around it. Right, that's something I can do. I can also measure the distance between straight lines. So we can use both metric systems or both measuring systems that you'll be able to do. But yeah, that is measurements. The other one we have is what we call document comparison. So, you know, often you're probably trying to figure out what changes have happened with the PDF. So what we're able to do is align two documents. So you can see the pen that's at the top of the PDF, and then over here in the corner you have basically a zoomed in version. So what I'm going to do is pick 3 points on the PDF. So I'll pick there. There. There we go. And then I have my second version of the PDF. So need to line that up pretty close. So we can do that. I can also zoom in if I needed to. So you see, like I've got that point there. So I'll zoom in, make it a little bit easier for me to grab that point. And then what that's done is it's now taken those two PDFs, overlaid them, and you can see the differences. So you can see down here, we've got the walls have been put in two different places. Up here as well, we've got the walls in two different places, but I'm able to overlay two documents and see the difference of it, and we're able to highlight those. So very cool feature for construction and engineering. We've also got some plans to extend as well to other types of PDFs as well. So let us know. And kind of on that topic, if there is anything here that the demo that we're not showing and you're interested, like can PSPDF Kit do that? The answer is probably yes. But we'd love to hear, and we love getting feature requests, and so we can continue to iterate and grow our solution. So cool. We are closing up on a few more things. So got a few more things. So one of the big things that PDFs really pose as a blocker is the ability to edit the PDF. So a lot of the things I've done today, I've really been adding an additional layer to the document. I've been editing or adding an additional layer to the document. So the PDF itself is remaining untouched. I can then add annotations to it. I can then flatten the PDF, keep the annotations on it. But like, what happens if the PDF itself, when it was created, there's an error in it? Well, usually it could be a pain. You have to go back, you have to recreate the PDF. Like, you know, let's say for this example, you're doing a presentation. Let's say the presentation got delayed by a day. Like going back and having to create that PDF again, it's a hassle, especially if you don't have the source document. So we spent a lot of time and we built something called content editing. So what that allows you to do is actually get to the base of the original layer of the PDF, and now I can start editing that. Not only can I edit the text, I can also do paragraph editing. So I could do webinar, September 7th, 2023. So like, I don't really like the position of that. So like now I can move certain things. I can change the font size. So let's go change that font size. Let's get it smaller. Oh, too small. Let's find a good size. Okay, I like it there. Put that there. Then I can save and edit on top of the PDF, and then I can still come here and get rid of that annotation. So yeah, a lot of different, this opens up a lot of different ways. So like we're able to identify all the text on the PDF, and allows me to come in and really do quite a bit of editing here. So you create a form, you do a lot of stuff. So like I can, kind of, you start putting together use cases. So like here's a sample form. Okay, knowledge level. I can come in and come into content editing, phone number. Okay, maybe we've gone international. I can start adding stuff like that. So like, include area code. So a lot of stuff we can do here in terms of content editing and moving text around and things like that. So super helpful, especially when you're editing documents and things like that. And then you can always keep a history of what's going on. So, yep. Two more comments and replies. So comments and replies is kind of what it sounds like. Basically, you can have a threaded conversation on a document. Think like Google Docs. It says anonymous. I can put an API name, but what this allows you to do is essentially have a sidebar conversation on certain points. So I can come in and say data analysis. Come here. This data analysis. So this allows a little bit more of a collaborative approach to working with the PDF, which can be static right now, but that allows that, and that's completely exportable. And then you can see all the different annotations here. Okay, cool. So we'll finish up the front end demo with redaction. So redaction was something we worked on for quite a long time. Redaction can be quite tricky because what you're trying to do is actually permanently remove the underlying information from the document itself. A lot of vendors in the space will remove it from a UI perspective, but the actual underlying information is still there. So like, for example, if we search agreement on this PDF, it comes up twice. You can see them highlighted. So one here and then one here. So I highlighted those. Okay. Not a lot, but some will do is they'll put a box over it, they'll flatten it, and then when I open the document, it looks like it's been removed. So I can't see it. Okay, agreement's there. So I'm going to download this again and pull it back into our viewer. So if I search agreement, you can see that there's still 2 hits here. So it hasn't been permanently removed. So that would be an issue for me because the underlying information is still there. So what PSPDFKit can do, I'll reset, we'll start over, is if I enable an area redaction, I'll go over here. I was running a webinar and that's why I was doing it. And then I can apply that redaction. I can search agreement, and I'm only getting 1 hit on it now. So I have removed that. So a little bit different from PSPDFKit. We can kind of go the extra step in being able to do that. And then in addition to that, we've built a lot of custom examples for you. So like we found different things of like search for credit card numbers, mark those for redaction. You can see we intuitively do that. We've even built a tool called Smart Redaction. So what that does is basically it ingests a document, and then we've come up with auto detective like we auto detect certain information. So like I've pre-selected this. So when I come up, I'm asking PSPF Kit to say, hey, find information that should be redacted normally. So like maybe you're at a law firm, maybe you're at a credit card company, and so like you get all these applications, you're like, we need a redaction security number. So like I could use smart redaction that every time I open up a PDF, that it is already looking for certain things, and then I can take a look at it, and then I can just apply it. So like instead of going it through hand by hand by hand, I can automate this. You can also do this completely headless as well. You don't even need a UI. You could be like, hey, PSPF Kit, find this stuff, redact it every time I feed you a document. So a lot of the cool stuff about PSPF Kit and kind of how we're stepping into kind of AI and document understanding to be able to process stuff like that. So cool. Wonderful. Let's look at the chat. Edit text on the PDF. Yeah, so edit text. So when you do the drop down on the signature, it's called content editor right here. This will be the thing that'll allow you to you'll be able to find it. Yep. I'll be able to find it, and then you're able to edit, move text, things like that. That'll be do that. As an example. Apologies, I probably can't open that Google Drive link as much as I would love to. Cool. Yep. And there's more coming on content editing as well. So text, images, things like that. So if there's anything missing, yeah, we definitely got you handled. I know there's only a few solutions that actually can stand up and do this well for people. So great. So one little last thing that I'd like to show everybody before I kind of just give you some general information on how to get in touch with us. Years ago, we built a tool called PDF Instant. So we looked at kind of the space and kind of understood that like it's not easy to work with PDFs. It's not, especially usually it's PDFs are great for like a single user workflow where like I'm doing this, but like anytime you're working on a document, there's multiple people on it. There's a lot of issues with conflict resolution, like who did what, when did what. I'm working with this version. So we built something called PSPF Instant. So think the idea of Google Docs. Like Google Docs has been incredibly popular because it allows people to collaborate in lots of different spaces at different times, and you always have the last version. So think that, and now think PDF. So basically what Instant allows us to do is, this is essentially two different instances of PSPF Kit Instant Funding. I've got URL here. I could actually pull it into this browser as well. But what this is allowing to do is anytime I edit these documents in real time, it's being updated over here. So whether that's drawing, whether it's a comment, whether it's a sidebar comment, what's happening is that this information is pinging back to your server in real time and updating the document so that you essentially can have the ability to do this. So like think you're sitting around a board meeting, you might be a student-teacher relationship, you might be at a law firm and you're doing billings and you need you do this in real time. But on top of that, there's permission based where you can make stuff public and private. So I do like to show PSPF Instant because it's not traditional. I don't think a lot of people understand what you can do with it, but like it's a great tool if you have multiple people working on a document during the workflow. So wonderful. We've been chatting for about 40 minutes. So I do want to close with some stuff, just sort of some general know-all of like how to navigate, how to get in touch with people. So PSPF Kit is a distributed company. We're all across the world. We've got people in, the Americas. We have people in Europe. We have people in Africa. We have people in Asia. We literally have people around the world. So what that gives us a benefit of is we are a highly distributed team, both engineering and from the sales side of the organization. So hopefully we can work within your time zone. So if you need technical support, we do ask you reach out anytime with feature requests, help with implementation. But if you want to try PSPF Kit in your own environment, the best thing to do is come to our website and go to get started. Choose your platform. So today we talked about web. You know, we've got a couple different things. So, JavaScript, React, Angular, that would be our web standalone that we talked about today. And then, server back was kind of the more powerful one in the back end. So maybe you're doing a PWA. Someone said Blazor, so let's choose Blazor for them. And then you can see, whether they want to do a server-side integration or WebAssembly integration. So tool, we use Visual Studio, and then you hit get started. And so what that does, it takes you straight to integrating PSPF-Kit immediately into your Blazor application. And what that allows you to do is try everything we did today. The PDF will be watermarked. It's an ugly watermark. It's a big red watermark, but it goes away when you buy a commercial license. But you can spin this up in your environment, test everything out, and then have a conversation with us to be what you need. So on the other side of things, if you want pricing, so you need to know how much this costs. Come to contact sales. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You can schedule a call directly with us. So we have our availability at all times, so that you can set up a call with us. You can email sales. We want to know about your project. So we do a bespoke motion. So we do try to work with customers of all sizes. So we want to hear about what you're doing with. We have a startup program as well. So we want to know where you are in terms of like if you're under $1 million in revenue or funds. We have a startup program. So we really do try to make pricing work with everyone. So we'll hear about the SDKs. You'll hit submit. So go to our sales team. We'll probably set up a short call to talk about what you need, and then we'll get going. So the reason why for the call is when you set up that trial, it's going to have all of this supported. When you move to a production license, we actually have the ability to feature flag this. So you're only buying what you need. You're not paying for measurement tools if you're not needing to measure distance. You're not buying, digital signatures if you're not, supporting e-signature process. So a lot of the discovery we're doing is figuring out your use case, what we can do, and things like that. The second thing we're doing is we have a huge portfolio of products. We talked about web today. There's mobile. We have, server-side tools that can do image cleanup, linearization, barcode reading, conversion, things like that. So like we want the ability to kind of talk to you and figure out what's the best solution is. Okay. On the contact sales things, you can also get in touch with our technical support team. This goes to our support and engineering team. They can help you with questions that you have. And then lastly is, check out the website. Solutions, again, I think I saw someone from a law firm today. You could go to our legal page and go through some of the reasons why we've had people say they go with us. Signatures, encrypted documents, being able to detailed overview. That was that thumbnail view. Redaction, support. And then we kind of make recommendations on what you should include in your license to be able to like move forward with that. So that's super helpful. And then the last thing which you'll want to find, you should check out our documentation. It's not gatekeeped whatsoever. We have full access to all their APIs, things like that. So you can come into our web SDK and get started. You can see some of the customization stuff. We talked about Instant. Here's the overview on what Instant is and how it works. And then you can also get to our API guides as well. So if you wanted to look at the API guides, that would be super helpful. So wonderful. I will check the chat. So I would definitely suggest going in and getting something set up with the sales team if you would want to talk about pricing. My email is, I'm going to drop my email in the thing. So anyone from this webinar, you're welcome to reach out to me directly. I can connect you with the team. But I certainly appreciate everyone joining today. I hope this was helpful. We were able to answer some questions. Since you registered today, you'll get a version of this that was recorded, so you can pass this along to other people. I'm happy also to set up a time to demo this to a larger group of your team, maybe a bunch of product managers you want to get this in front of. But yeah, appreciate the time. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Thursday. And until next time, we'll do it again. Thanks everyone, and have a good day.